Hi there, Steve from Shoothole. To be honest, think you've absolutely nailed it. I think that's really what we needed to hear. Earlier on I was going to say there's a massive issue with confidence in Scotland. I've been lucky enough to go out to the valley and meet some of these guys at Sandhill. It's really inspiring, and I think essentially what we need is someone to, or a group of people to take the lead and really push entrepreneurs in Scotland to take risks. I made the mistake of going out initially and trying to raise VC, and then I learned from these guys in Silicon Valley, the first thing you do is go down and build your product, get it out there, get customer feedback, and then you come back and start thinking about that. And I think one of the things is we really just need to have the confidence to take the risk and get our products out there and let the market push that growth.
I agree. So sitting in Silicon Valley, I used to see a lot of entrepreneurs coming from Europe. And the Scottish entrepreneurs were every bit, if not more so, competent, smart, thoughtful, and ambitious than any other ones. It's just that you don't test that every day against what you see in Silicon Valley. And I can tell you, there's no inherent reason why this can't happen here. In the back, I know. Yeah, I'm looking for arguments as to why this can't happen.
I'm not sure I can give you that, but you are in danger of falling into a very Scottish trap of talking about all the things we don't do well. And I just want to put a little antidote into that I'm Gavin Gemmell, I'm chairman of Archangels, which is the biggest business angel syndicate in Scotland. There are about another 20 angel groups functioning quite successfully. It is true, I think the Nigel's slide at bottom left is absolutely spot on. I think such investments won't be made here. But what we do is build on things that we do well here. And so if we have a bias, it's towards life sciences, medical devices, and that may be because of our investors. Quite a lot of them are cashed-in entrepreneurs in life sciences. Others are fund managers, again, something we do well in Scotland. So we're investing about 10 million a year in probably 3 or 4 new ones and about 10 follow-on ones every year. We've been quite successful. We've had 5 quite good exits in the last 2 years, which of course has encouraged people no end, because around 2009 it was all follow-on money and no exits. So there's good things happening. That's really the only point I want to make. But it isn't in social media space. And I think if this were to happen, probably need somebody younger than me who's actually interested in it, which I'm not.
I think we're in violent agreement.
Try and give you some rebuttal there. I really like the plan, but I think it might be a case of building the house and putting the bricks down before putting the foundation down. I'm Sam, and I'm from advancedtogo.com, and we're a startup company, and our biggest problem in starting was office space, paying for Wi-Fi and energy utilities, legal costs and accounting. So what we needed to start wasn't particularly £50,000 money, which was going to cost us £4 grand for the lawyers to check over the documents. We just needed that environment and that space to start.
Let's make a quick comment on that. One of the things that if programs like Springboard, Seedcamp, and all these do is that, yes, they give you 50,000, we give you 50,000, but all the services you just asked for are included as part of. We have free space in our place. The legal services are usually given for a very, very reduced rate, if not for free, from our Founders Pack, which is like a promotion thing. So to your point is, as the ecosystem develops here, or whether you go to another one like London's, those things start falling away because there are hubs for that.
And just well, in Edinburgh, just on that. So for ourselves, we've been in the university buildings for the last 5 years, and they've been great. Been a great landlord and very flexible. you know, we had similar problems on the legal side as well. You know, and just in that cost up front. And TechCube, which is sort of opening up at the moment, I think is a valuable addition as well. But I really hear you. It's bizarre, but like certainly in our early days, like these kind of really simple things like office space, accountancy, which you know you don't want to spend a huge amount of money on, but you know I get tied up in legal bills. It's a complete pain in the ass, and it stops you from running your business. So there's a couple of things here that certainly have been helpful for us, and I think open up the market.
So I just wanted to add a little bit. We're looking at a lot of the events here and not the cause. So the mindset is the core. So all this legal stuff, everything comes about because of a lack of a mindset. But the mindset is really hard to change. So everything you talk about there, lack of self-confidence, etc., are the effects. We've got to look at what the causes are and go really quite structurally down and say the education system, etc. in here, what is causing these? And I challenge you that that's a really, really hard thing to do. And it all makes sense theoretically to say get this sorted and all this falls in, but automatically the conversation goes away from talking about that to what about office space, what about that? It's pull it back and pull it back until we get that sorted, until we get that foundation, the growth isn't going to come, in my opinion.
5 years. That's what I think it would take.
Yeah. Focused attention.
So if we, I'm taking a guess here, and in 5 years from now, you can prove me wrong, but if whoever was here before from the universities, who asked the university question, who were sitting there, if you were to start the Lean Startup Machine program as a requirement for every single freshman coming to every single Scottish university, I guarantee you 5 years this ecosystem would look different.
So that's why Brad makes the point that a core group has to decide that they're going to do this without even knowing how, but decide that they're going to do it and make a 20-year commitment in their minds, because you're right. It's hard to do. It's simple, but it's not easy. And if you live in California, you have the benefit of like every third person is a therapist. And so you get to look in on yourself all the time, and it's well. I mean, I'm not even joking about that. It's a well accepted thing. Everybody's in therapy in California, everybody, and you know, looking at these issues, and until you decide, you look inside and figure out, yes, we can do this. There's no inherent reason that we can't. We can invent all sorts of stuff. We can invent all sorts of friction about why it's hard to do, and that would all be true. But that doesn't change the fact that you can do it.
It always looks hard to do until someone just goes and does it. Like the 4-minute mile, this is like proven over and over again. And you just need a few people, just like support them, let them loose, blaze a trail, and then you don't need to change everyone's mentality at once. As soon as a few people show like, hey look, you can do this in a wild, sort of weird, crazy way, and everyone else can follow.
And I would posit there are certainly 6 people in this room that, were they to decide, could start this. David, in the back, I know you.
Yeah, just to give you a little bit of hope, my 14-year-old son has started his second business. His first business made him 500 quid in its first year and £1,000 last year, which he's used to buy the equipment to start his second business. The first one was making jam and chutney out of produce from gardens in our village. The second one is a multimedia live performance lighting and sound business. We have the attitude. We just need to bring it out in our children.
I'm not even sure that it would take 5 years. I mean, a lot of the things, it might take 5 years to kind of change the culture, but a lot of the things that you've talked about, the gentleman in the white t-shirt there, they're so easy to fix. There's got to be some kind of old warehouse somewhere in Edinburgh that, you know, is not being used for anything terribly useful. There got to be some accountants who love dealing with startups and would be able to put together a service where for a couple of $100 a month they'll look after your accounts and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff's easy to fix.
I'll give you that accountant. Like, we have an accountant in London who costs pennies, only uses Dropbox, deals with startups. I also have a lawyer. Like, ask me, I'll give it to you. Yeah, it's honestly, it is. It's like £35 a month. You can only use Dropbox. He cuts 20% of his customer base every year because they aren't efficient enough. They're made for startups. You have bigger absolute numbers in London, so you have these. Just ask. We'll give you that. I even actually know of a warehouse that someone wants to do something with in Edinburgh. That's all there, you know.
So let's do one more question, and then we've run over time, and we can continue the discussion outside. And happy to stick around. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I'm happy to stick around and talk about this as long as people like.
I would like to come back to your concept of embracing failure. I think actually, from not having been long here in Scotland, that failure is not embedded in the society. They don't accept failure, like the university doesn't. They proud themselves that they give more A levels at the end of the year because failure is not accepted. So how do you think that you could change the perception of failure in the whole society?
Therapy. I mean, honestly, I don't have a prescriptive for how you embrace failure, other than start small, I guess. Wake up every morning and decide you're going to fail at something.
Yeah, but I mean,
and then go do it, and then recognize that you go to bed every night just like you did before you started failing, and you wake up every morning like you did before you started failing, and then it's okay. You're still the same person.
You joke about therapy, but it is about each individual doing it first, and then it can grow. It's got to be. I'm only half joking about the therapy thing, because most of what I've learned in therapy in my 18 years in California is it's okay. I'm still fine, despite massive failure.
You fail and you go to the next company and say, I failed before, and they give you a job. I think here it's more difficult. If you say I have a B in university, in high school, you don't get a place in university, so there it stops for you.
Yeah, but so then I would question, why do you want to go to university?
I'm not saying that but it's a symptom of how the whole society works. If you fail in one job, you go for the next.
Right. So let me just be clear. I'm not saying everybody in Scotland has to adopt this. I'm saying a core group of 6 people, minimum 6 people, maybe more, have to decide that they're just not going to care about failure anymore. And they don't even have to all decide collectively. You just need them to be aligned on this vision.
In tech, you've got to have a different mindset. You can't be a proud person when you do. It's
right.
Okay for doctorate, but for technology, where it's just.
And I talked a lot about contrarian thinking. It's really important if you're going to succeed as an entrepreneur to kind of not give a shit about what other people think, because everybody's going to tell you you're going to fail. And so you have to accept that everybody thinks you're going to fail, and then just do it anyway. If you're just listening to what other people tell you is possible, we'll be having this discussion in Scotland 20 years from now.
To change the definition of failure as well. Come out of it and say, look, but if you go into a job interview saying with the mindset that you have failed, then you're setting that conversation. The whole definition of what is success and what is failure is predicated hugely on what mental model you assess that situation happening with.
A shortcut version of what he just said, it's in your head. Failure and success are in your head. That's it.
I think a big part of it is talking about it. I mean, I don't want to hold Dublin out as a kind of a paragon in this, because it's not, and we've got lots of problems that we need to fix in Dublin. But I would say 20 years ago, we definitely had an attitude that kind of failure was unacceptable. I think that's very, very different now, and I think a big part of what has changed is celebrating entrepreneurs, number one, and you need to publicly celebrate entrepreneurs, and you need to get those people talking not just about success, but about the horrific mistakes that they made and how it all went horribly wrong and what they learned from that, right? And that's, I don't think that takes that long, you know. Again, it's about some people saying, yeah, you know what, we're going to do this, we're going to push this.
So with that, I want to say thank you to the audience for participating and being here and willing to engage in the discussion. I want to say thanks to my colleagues on the panel, and thank you to the sponsors that enable this, Sheen and Tate, Santander. Without their support, this wouldn't happen. And let's continue the conversation.